The Assembly Hall is once again filled with the excitement of one of America's great high school sports spectacles as Sports Channel brings you the 60th Illinois High School Association Individual Wrestling Championships. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Stalker. By the time it's all said and done here at the Assembly Hall, we'll have over 500 bouts as we crown champions at 13 weight classes at the Class A and the AA levels. Working alongside me this year, once again, Rob Sherrill. And, Rob, the one thing that's really struck me about this field is how wide open the competition has been.
Last year, Tom, as you remember, this tournament was dominated by a few very important superstars. This year's tournament, a wide open field. We're going to see one-point matches. We're going to see overtime matches. I mean, we don't know who's going to win most of these weight classes, and that's what's going to make it so much fun.
We do have 7 returning champions from last year. First of all, at Class AA, take a look. Not one loss this year between Bran Hare of Morton at 130, David Douglas, maybe the star of the night from Thornridge, and the heavyweight Hubert Thompson from Proviso West.
Well, David Douglas of Thornridge is going to become the 6th four-time state champion in history if he wins his match tonight. All 3 of these guys are real crowd pleasers, clearly the best 3 seniors in Class AA.
Meanwhile, in Class A, 4 returning champions, a total of 3 losses between Todd Combs of Coal City, Chad Hay from Sandwich, Tom Riggins of Roxana, and Tony Niebuhr from Normal University.
Todd Combs, a 4-time finalist trying to become a 2-time champ. All 4 of these guys have made it through and will try to defend their titles.
Meanwhile, in terms of the teams with players in the very final round here, you've got a Class AA, Marist with a total of 3 wrestlers, while Muhammad Seymour Class A has 4.
You never know who's going to come out on top in that individual race. It's just who's on that particular week. It's been Marist and Muhammad so far.
We started all off at 103 pounds, and that'll be coming up right around the corner as our coverage comes your way on Sports Channel. The broadcast rights for the Illinois High School Wrestling Championships have been granted to Sports Channel and Intersport Television by the IHSA. Any reproduction or rebroadcast of this event without the express written consent of Sports Channel, Intersport, and the Illinois High School Association is prohibited. We're at the Assembly Hall in Champaign, 60th IHSA Individual Wrestling Championships, and in AA at 103 pounds, it is Kelly Madden in the red from Pekin and Mark Warren from Providence. This match brought to you by Country Companies.
Kelly Madden of Pekin with the early 2-0 lead, and he's looking for more points on the tilt. Not quite able to get it there, still 2-0. But this match is just an example, Tom, of the many different ways that this 103-pound class could have gone in this state tournament. A lot of returning veterans at 103.
Madden beat Nathan Martinez in the semifinals today. Martinez was 3rd at 103 pounds last year.
And Madden with 5 decisions of 5-4 over Nick Bingheim of Belleville East, 6-3 over Chris Stewart of Oak Forest, another returning place winner. And then Nathan Martinez of West Aurora, 5-4. All very close matches, as you see after the escape. Now Warren in on the single leg. Tried to switch off to a double and tried to finish, and he does.
He picks up 2 and takes a 3-2 lead late in the first period.
And Warren in with the half Nelson. He's going to have near fall points.
And the end of the first period, he picked up 2 more near fall points. And it's a 5-2 lead for Warren over Madden after the first of 3 2-minute periods.
Been a while since we've had a Class AA state champion with 9 losses, but that's what we're looking at with Mark Warren, a product of the very tough schedule that Providence has wrestled all year. He had a great bracket down at the bottom at 103, and he made the most of it, and he's in the finals and leading.
In a little while, we'll go over how you score an individual wrestling match, but you pick up points for depending on the maneuvers that you are able to do during the course of a match by establishing your control, reversing control, or escaping from your opponent's control.
Warren trying to score with the outside single, switched off, spun behind, and he did get the takedown. Now a 7-2 lead. And that's 7 unanswered points for Mark Warren after he fell behind 2-0 on Madden's early takedown.
A minute 21 to go in the second period. Mark Warren of New Lenox Providence, a sophomore, with a 7-2 lead.
Now Warren trying to score briefly with the suck back there. He's riding hard on top. He's got a lot of confidence now with those 7 points. Now with trying to run the half Nelson, trying to pick up more near fall points, and stopped by the official Ray Weinsberg for the potentially dangerous, the arm all the way behind the head.
Warren in the semifinals had to go to overtime to beat Steve Bryant of Betalto Civic Memorial, while in the semis, as we've mentioned, Madden's win over Martinez, who was a sophomore. Madden with a 5-4, some of those close victories you talked about at the start of the program.
Exactly, and this is what we've seen at 103 pounds all the way through this tournament. A lot of veterans here, sophomores and juniors. You don't have the hotshot freshmen at 103 pounds this year. These guys have been around, and they have wrestled each other a lot, and you wind up with close matches. And here's Kelly Madden. He was looking for the roll and the reversal, but now Warren stays in control.
Just 15 seconds to go in the second period. A 7-2 lead for Warren. And through 2 periods, Warren leading Madden 7-2. Meanwhile, let's go over to the 103-pound in Class A championship, where right now, just late in the second period, Chris Kolopanis, who is in the blue for Muhammad Seymour, a 3-0 edge over R.J. Young of Kankakee McNamara, a sophomore. And with a period to go, Kolopanis a 3-0 lead.
This Muhammad Seymour program has just gotten better and better and better each week, and Kolopanis is a prime example of that. A lot of early losses, and he's in on the double, trying to score again. No takedown given yet. Young trying to lock in the crotch to avoid giving up control, but Kolopanis trying to work up.
Kolopanis, one of 4 Muhammad Seymour Bulldogs that are in the state championships here in Class A.
A lot of early losses for Kolopanis, and he finishes the takedown given there by Bruce Bartos, as you see. And now a 5-0 lead, and we're going to see these guys in the dual team possibly later, Tom. And if this individual state tournament performance is any indication, they're going to be hard to stop.
Again, this is only individual championships. No team totals are kept. The dual team championships will be held the weekend of March 1st at Huff Hall here on the University of Illinois campus. And with a minute to go in the final period, a 5-0 lead for Chris Kolopanis over R.J. Young in Class A.
One of the things about Muhammad Seymour, historically, always been very tough on their feet. This is where they get the advantage in most cases over their Class A opponents. Now Kolopanis throwing in some tough riding with that, posting the hand through the crotch ride.
.30 seconds left in this Class A bout at 103 pounds.
And this may be an indication, as we said, of a Muhammad Seymour team that may be peaking at the right time, as you see Chris Kolopanis basically 4th in the rankings most of the year. He's going to be the state champion.
He's got 5 seconds. And that's it. Chris Kolopanis 34-5 as he wins the Class A state championship at 103 pounds. 2 takedowns and an escape for Kolopanis, and he's the state champion
really be the last one for Muhammad? We'll have to see. They got 3 more shots left.
Now let's switch over. You see Rob Porter, the head coach of Muhammad Seymour, congratulating Chris Colabanis. Now in Double-A, Mark Warren of New Lenox Providence, a 10-6 lead with 39 seconds to go over Kelly Madden of Pekin.
Madden has made this close late with a couple of takedowns, but it was the 8 unanswered points by Warren after falling behind 2-0 early that really made the difference. Stalemate situation over here near the edge.
Even though one of the wrestlers might be out of the circle, the other wrestler, his support points were still inside the circle, and until he went outside the circle, they were able to continue wrestling.
Right, until the feet of both wrestlers went out of bounds, as now we have some blood time for Kelly Madden here. Until the feet of both wrestlers went out of bounds, Ray Weinsberg properly let that situation continue.
Let's take a look. How do you score an individual wrestling bout? You get points depending on what you do. A takedown, you take down your opponents, you pick up 2. You escape from your opponent's control, you get 1 point. If you reverse control and gain the upper hand, you pick up 2. And if you get your opponent's shoulder within 45 degrees of the mat, depending how long you do, it's either 2 or 3 points. 3 seconds left now in the Double-A 103-pound state championship.
Penalty point for Warren for the illegal figure 4 around the head.
So he picks up an 11-6 lead with just 3 seconds to go.
And a point for unsportsmanlike conduct, and that's it. Mark Warren is the state champion.
12-6. Mark Warren finishes the year at 34-9. The sophomore from Providence wins the Class AA state championship at 103 pounds.
Well, Mark Warren, prior to this point, won only 1 of the 6 tournaments he was in this year, but he won the big one, and that's the state championship.
Now we're going to move to 112 pounds. And let's go to Class A at 112 pounds, where 2 very familiar rivals are going to battle for the championship. In the yellow, that's Brandon Peterson of Reed Custer out of Braidwood, a senior, and Todd Combs in the green there from Coal City. He's coached by Brett Porter. Combs 37-0, Peterson 34-7.
2 wrestlers, of course, very familiar with each other. Coal City and Reed Custer, 2 rivals out of the Interstate 8. These 2 met in the regional and in the sectional, as well as in a dual meet this year. So very familiar, and you know that Peterson is going to try and stay away from Combs' strength as much as he can.
Peterson won 17 seconds into overtime in the semifinal bout, beating Randy Stubby of Dakota. And Combs, a 5-1 victor in his semifinal over Tom Bottoms of Oregon earlier today.
Combs, a 4-time state finalist. His freshman and his sophomore years, he lost the state title at the final buzzer, came back and won the state last year, got that monkey off his back, and now he's looking for number 2. And Combs in on the double leg, trying to finish it, and he does. This is where Combs really excels, is on his feet. Peterson very tough on the mat, and you know this is where Combs wants to keep things.
50 seconds to go in the first period. Todd Combs a 2-0 edge right now over Brandon Peterson. This is Class A, 112 pounds.
Now you know Combs doesn't want to get himself in the situation of maybe getting reversed and giving Peterson a chance to work on the top. I think he'd just be happy to give up 1 here, go back to work on his feet where he has the advantage. And a stalemate called by Gary Hunt. They'll get a fresh start.
Meanwhile, at 112 pounds in Double-A, they are underway. Adam Wasson from Princeton, a junior, 41-2, against Alexis Rivera. He's in the red. He's from Weber of Chicago, a junior. Rivera literally kind of came out of nowhere this year.
He had a great year, undefeated throughout the season and the tournament series.
Just about a minute gone in this 112-pound bout at AA. Adam Wasson second in Class A 2 years ago when Princeton was in the lower level, the smaller schools level, Class A.
So Wason definitely no stranger to this kind of pressure. Princeton went up to the AA class last year, and Wason was a state tournament qualifier. Didn't place, had some maturing to do in the big at the big class level, and he's clearly done it. He's here in the finals, but couldn't finish that single leg shot. Rivera able to get out of it.
27 seconds to go in the first period. Neither wrestler with a point yet. Adam Wasson in the blue, Alexis Rivera, who is 31-0 in the red.
Weber only had one state place winner in their history prior to this year, but and now the ankle pick by Wason, but he tried to step over on the whizzer, and Rivera took him right to his back.
And some near fall points coming up for Rivera. He'll pick up 2 points.
Well, a crucial mistake by Adam Wason there. He had the ankle pick and the whizzer in, but he tried to step over, and any experienced wrestler knows you do that, you're going to go to your back, and that's exactly what happened. And 5 big points for Alexis Rivera.
So after the first period, a 5-0 lead for Alexis Rivera as we move back over at 112 pounds at Class A. 54 seconds to go in the second period. Todd Combs of Coal City, who picked up 3 near fall points at the very end of the opening period. Now a 5-0 edge over Brandon Peterson.
Combs had a cradle right there at the end of the first period, had a Peterson in a lot of trouble, but Peterson was saved by the bell. Still 5-0 lead for Combs, and he looks like he's in command on the top as well as on the feet.
Combs undefeated this year.
Looking for the cradle again. Wants to kind of roll through with that, and there it is. He's got that cradle locked up, and now it looks like he's going to get a count. Gary Hunt looking for the exposure, and near fall points are going to be coming. This will be another 3-point near fall.
Again, he's got to get that shoulder within 45 degrees of the mat and get either 2 or 3 points, depending on how long he's able to get that shoulder within that 45-degree mark.
You need a 2 count by the official to get a 2-point near fall, and a 5 count to get a 3-point near fall. And this was a 5 count and more, so it will be 3 points.
Picks up 3 on the near fall, and after 2 periods, Todd Combs an 8-0 lead over Brandon Peterson in Class A at 112 pounds. 1 2-minute period to go to crown the Class A 112-pound champ.
Combs starting the third period on the bottom, and now Peterson throwing the legs in. Got the crossbody ride, trying to work a tilt of his own here. This is where Peterson's going to have to make up the ground if he's going to get back in this match.
Rob, as often as these two have wrestled each other, is that any kind of an advantage or just familiarity just sometimes become too much of a factor?
Familiarity generally narrows the score between two wrestlers. The more times you wrestle, the closer that score is going to get, because you know what the other guy is going to do, even if he has a big advantage in skills or strength. But obviously that hasn't bothered Combs here. He got the takedown. He's turned him twice with the cradle, and he's in command, 8-0. Stalemate call by Gary Hunt.
Come on, Todd, right now.
So it's 8-0. Todd Combs with 56 seconds remaining in their match.
Take it down now. Let's go to space.
Now Peterson just lets him go. Wasn't able to turn him, so he's going to try something else. Combs in on the outside single and gets the dump.
Gets 2 more. He's got 11. Meanwhile, the third period has begun in AA between Adam Wasson and Alexis Rivera. 5-0 lead there for Rivera as we go over to the AA mat. And just as we moved over, they had wrestled just a couple of seconds. And down on the mat is Adam Wasson.
Couldn't quite tell exactly what happened there, but it was right off the third period buzzer right after Rivera had scored a reversal and extended his lead to 7-0.
Let's see if we can go back and see exactly where he was shaken up. This is right at the very start of the third period.
Okay, Wazen started on top here. Rivera spun behind for the reversal. Can't tell quite exactly what happened.
Meanwhile, Todd Combs over in Class A did go on and defeat Brandon Peterson for the Class A 112-pound state championship. Final was 11-2 in Class A. And you see Todd congratulated by Coach Brett Porter. And he finishes 38-0.
A four-time state finalist, Todd Combs, and a two-time champion. 4 trips to the Grand March and 2 titles.
Meanwhile, Wasson back up on his feet. 40 seconds remaining in this particular injury timeout.
Really an amazing story here for Alexis Rivera from Weber. Basically a 500 wrestler last year. Went through the regular season undefeated, but really unheralded, and he has come through to the finals here after a 13-4 major decision over Mike Stanley from Mattoon, 5-4 in the quarterfinals over Paul Collum of Romeoville, 4-2 in overtime over Chad Carlin of Johnsburg, right after it looked like Carlin was almost in for the winning takedown. So Rivera, you have to praise his heart and his stick-to-itiveness to get the job done to this point, and took advantage of the mistake by Wazen early for the 5 points.
The escape for Wazen, and he is trailing 7-1 with 1:38 to go in the third period.
Once again, Weber only with 1 state place winner prior to this year. Looks like, unless a big reversal of form takes place here, that they're going to get their first state champ, and at 140 pounds, maybe a chance to get another one.
And of course, with LaBelle Houston. 2 points for Wasson.
And almost with the tilt to the back for near fall points, but not quite. Now Wazen trying to work on the top a little bit, and now he's going to let Rivera spin out for the escape, it looks like. Wazen needs some points in a hurry here. He's running out of time as we stop for the blood.
He picked up the escape and takes an 8-3 lead. And again, they go to a 5-minute timeout when blood is detected from one of the wrestlers.
This is a new rule this year. There are now 2 separate injury clocks kept for each wrestler. 2 minutes for injury time, and you're allowed 3 separate timeouts, and a 5-minute blood time, which is completely separate from the injury time. This is a rule that was tried in several states last year, and the National Federation of State High School Associations voted to adopt it nationwide for the rule book this year. And there you see Adam Wazen and his coach Randy Swinford talking it over, and Wazen needs some points in a hurry here. He needs a couple of takedowns very quick with only 7 seconds left to get himself back in position in this match.
Rivera keeping his record undefeated with an overtime win in the semifinals over Chad Carlin of Johnsburg earlier today. 30 seconds to go.
Rivera now in on the leg attack, trying to finish off the single. A lot of power in that penetration, but he wasn't able to finish. Potentially dangerous.
Dangerous situation. And they'll both restart standing up. 20 seconds to go. 8-3, Rivera.
Rivera took advantage of that 5-point move first off in this match, and you can't give up 5 points at a time in a state final tournament and expect to come out on top, and that was just too much for Wazen to overcome.
And that's it, 8-3. Alexis Rivera wins the AA 112 state championship, and he finishes the year a perfect 32-0. Adam Wasson finishes at 41-3. More coming your way as the Illinois High School Association Wrestling Championships continues from the Assembly Hall after this. And welcome back to the Assembly Hall in Champaign as we're at the Illinois High School Association Individual Wrestling Championship. This 119-pound bout now at AA between Sal Rigitano. He's in the black against Jamie Pales of Lake Park. He's in the blue. Rigitano from Glenbard North, the senior. Pales also a senior. Pales 39-1. Rigitano 32-4.
And here's a match between two guys that know each other very, very well. This is the 5th time that Jamie Pales in the blue and silver singlet and Saul Rigitano in the black singlet have wrestled this year. Rigitano won the first meeting very early in the season. That was a double overtime win. Pales has won 3 in a row since then in overtime, and then in the conference, the DuPage Valley Conference, by a 5-2 score, and in the regional by a 6-4 score. So both of these guys know each other very well. I should say that's the regional and the sectional, not the conference and the regional. But expect a low-scoring match where 1 point either way, and Pales with the throw-by gets the first takedown and a 2-0 lead.
Gets that with 33 seconds remaining in the first period.
Very competitive weight class, 119 pounds. Neither of these wrestlers had an easy match to get here. Saul Rigitano won his 4 matches by a grand total of 10 points, and he had 2 overtime matches in that 4 matches. Jamie Pales of Lake Park won his 3 matches by a combined total of 6 points. So both these wrestlers very conservative, play it close to the vest, and you're going to see that here in this match.
And in fact, Pales beat #1 ranked J.C. Gaunt, who was 34-0 at the time in the semifinals.
With a couple of third period takedowns, so conditioning an important factor there. And Pales has wrestled, and Rigitano both have wrestled very tough schedules against a lot of the other quality competition this year, and that's what's carried them through to this point.
So Pales with a 2-0 lead, getting that takedown with 33 seconds remaining in the opening period as they move to period number 2. We will also move eventually here to the Class A, but right now they have an injury break, so we'll stay with AA, Saul Rigitano and Jamie Pales. A 1-point escape for Rigitano when he gets on the board.
Both these guys, very similar styles, very tough on their feet. And you're going to see definitely a tie-up attack, counter-attack type of match. Rigitano reaching underneath for a leg, and now Pales with the single, trying to work it to a double. Now trying to spin behind. Pales has definitely had the better of the offensive opportunities so far. He finished one in the first period for a takedown, and now trying to finish this single leg attack. He switches off to a double and gets the takedown. So the second match for Jamie Pales.
He takes a 4-1 lead with 1:09 to go in the second period. This is AA, 119 pounds.
Rigitano immediately with the stand-up and immediately with the escape. And I think Jamie Pales with a lot of confidence on his feet right now. He didn't mind giving up that escape because I'm sure he doesn't think that Rigitano is going to take him down right now.
Some wrestlers will give up that point in the escape on the gamble. They'll come back and get more, and he gets 2 more right there.
Rigitano with the duck under, and spun behind for the takedown, and now Rigitano with the legs in, going to try and grind it out on top. He'd like to finish out this second period on top and take a tie score into the third period. And a stalemate called by Jim Carnahan, the official. 20 seconds left in the third period, and once again Pales will try to come out for an escape. Right off the whistle, Trey Pales trying to work the switch, and he does have the reversal.
And takes a 6-4 lead.
So that stalemate situation worked against the advantage of Rigitano, who did have the legs in and was riding tough and couldn't get out before the period ended. And now Pales with the choice for the third period, he's going to take down.
Let's get a brief update now and move over to Class A at 119 pounds. Chad Hay in the black from Sandwich, a senior, against Vince Sibisak from Montini of Lombard, also a senior. Sibisak 38-1, Hay 29-1. Right now Hay a 5-2 lead with 27 seconds to go in the second period.
Sibisak trying a throw by there. Couldn't quite score with it, and they went off the mat. The official, Bob Nimitz, signaling no control. They'll come back to the center for a fresh start. Chad Hay, of course, the defending state champion, broke his leg late in the football season, got a very slow start to the wrestling season this year, and had to kind of work his way back into the rankings, but he's come here to the finals. He knows what it's like to be a state champion, and very important for him to get a chance to repeat, and he's ahead right now.
Just 1 second to go in the second period. A 5-2 lead for Chad Hay. Let's go switch back over to AA, where they're in the final period. 1:03 to go. It is a 7-4 lead for Pales. Pales picked up an early escape point in the third period. They've got 56 seconds to go.
And that's why that reversal at the end of the second period was so important for Jamie Pales. Again in on that outside single, trying to advance and score with it. Rigitano locking in with the whizzer, and this is going to be a stalemate. And it's called by Jim Carnahan. But with that escape to start the third period, that gave Pales a 3-point lead, and it means Rigitano needs 2 takedowns to get himself back into this match. Now in with the single, the high crotch trying to finish, and Pales is fighting him off. Now Rigitano works up to the double, and he has the takedown. It's now a 7-6 match.
With 15 seconds left, it's 7-6. Time running out, 9 seconds, 8, and they're out of the circle.
Now 8 seconds left, 8-6. Rigitano time for 1, maybe 2 good shots to try and get that tying takedown. Doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Time runs out. Jamie Pales of Lake Park wins the Class AA 119-pound state championship. 8-6 the final. The big move came when he broke that 4-4 tie, got the reversal with 11 seconds to go in the second period.
Key reversal there right at the end of the second period, and it's so hard to beat an opponent 4 times in a row, but that's what Jamie Pales did against Saul Rigitano, 2 of really the top 119-pounders all year, and a really wide open match for 3 guys that are wrestling each other for the 3rd week in a row.
Pales finishes 40-1. Let's switch over to Class A, where they have 1.5 minutes to go. A 6-2 lead for Chad Hay of Sandwich. He's in the black.
Hay with the escape at the start of the 3rd period. Vince Sibisak of Montini, 3rd in the state last year, really had a great season this year, rated #1 a good bit of the season. And both these teams are going to very likely be active in the duels, so I don't think this is the last we may see of either of these wrestlers. And
he gets 2.
The snap down and the spin behind for Chad Hay, and he's got it in overdrive right now. Looks like he's on his way to a 2nd state title.
48 seconds to go. And Hay leading 8-2.
very similar situation to both the AA 119-pounders. Both these guys, very difficult situations getting to the finals. Vince Sebezak, 2 one-point decisions to get here. Chad Hay with a major decision and an overtime win. Another very balanced weight class in Class A.
Hay grabbed quick control in this bout when he picked up the takedown with 45 seconds remaining in the opening period and picked up an additional 3 near-fall points.
And once again, you see an early 5-point move setting the stage for the rest of the match for Chad Hay. 5 points for a wrestler that doesn't really score points in bunches like Sebezak. Too tough to overcome.
Just 6 seconds remaining. That's it. Chad Hay picks up another state championship with an 8-2 victory over Vince Sebezak of Montini. Another state championship coming to that community up there on US 34.
A great wrestling school and some great rivalries up there. And Chad Hay continues the tradition. He's a 2-time state champion.
So he finishes 30-1 there. He hugs Coach Lon Garish and finishes out a great career at Sandwich. And Sebezak finishes 38-2. So that concludes all the action at 119 pounds. So now that is 3 weight classes down and 10 more to go. Tom Stalker and Rob Sherrill with you at the Assembly Hall here in Champaign. Another crowd, looks to be in excess of 10, maybe 11,000 here at the Assembly Hall. 2 intense days of action in this building. Again, nearly 500 bouts total. And it all culminates individually here with, of course, the dual teams coming up a week from today at Huff Hall here on the campus, a new home for that dual team event.
Amazing. It's the first time in 32 years that a state championship wrestling event will have been held at Huff. And everybody in the wrestling community is very excited about the chance to return their newly renovated facility. Beautiful site for wrestling, and everybody's looking forward to it, I can tell you that.
And the Assembly Hall looking as sharp as ever, 30+ years now, and of course the site of many great IHSA championships in basketball and of course wrestling as the action continues at Assembly Hall on the campus of the University of Illinois here in Champaign. We are getting ready now for action at 125 pounds. There is Class A wrestler Ryan Berger of junior from Muhammad Seymour.
Second place, it's Adam Wason.
He is getting ready to take on Chris Spillum of Orion, a senior who's 40-1. Berger is 37-2. This sometimes can be the longest moments right here, these seconds before you go out and finally take the mat.
Just a chance to collect all your thoughts and figure out what you're going to do, and in most cases it's what you've done all year, because that's what got you here. And Ryan Berger of Muhammad Seymour going for his school's 2nd state championship in this round, and Berger, one of the top juniors in the state, much less Class A. Going to be heavily recruited next year, and it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to this situation. First time in the state final.
No score early. They're on the edge of the circle. And again, while Berger is out of the circle, Spillum still inside now finally. His knee is out of the circle, and they'll restart 30 seconds into the bout. There's 3 losses between these two all season long.
And these two ranked 1 and 2 in the state most of the year. This is the final that we expected, and it's the final that we've got, and it should be a great match. Berger working the 2-on-1, often called the Russian, and they go out of bounds. Berger, 3rd in the state twice coming up to this year, finally made it to the finals.
Of course, Muhammad Seymour, their head coach Rob Porter, and of course he's from a great coaching family. His dad Tom was a great successful high school and college coach here in Illinois. Let's go over to Class AA now. This is Ryan Egan in the gold. He's from Marist, a senior, rated number 3. Lance Weber from Maine West is in the yellow and blue. He's rated number 4. Weber, a 3-time qualifier. Egan almost placed in the finals 2 years ago. Last year, an arm injury prevented him from making it back to the assembly hall.
And that injury last year to Ryan Egan was one of the things that really changed the face of wrestling in the Chicago area for the rest of the season. Seemingly on his way to a championship in the Glen Bard East tournament, and unfortunately kind of a freak accident broke that arm and missed the rest of the season as we end the first period here. And he's come all the way back to the finals this year. Had a great year. Both these wrestlers, by the way, signed in November with Northern Illinois University, and the new head coach there, Dave Grant, is going to bring that program back in a big way. He signed 8 quality athletes in November, 7 of them from Illinois, and these 2 guys are going to be a big addition to that university.
That's Egan in control right now, trailing in the match 2-1, just a few seconds into the second period.
First of 3 finalists we're going to see for Marist in the championships, and Egan almost had a cradle there, and Weber gets out of it.
And he picks up a 3-1 lead.
And Weber loves to go upper body with that double underhook. He breaks down a lot of opponents with that move, and Egan bailed out on him, and Weber was able to come out on top for his second takedown of the match, and Egan's going to have to find a way to counter that. And now Egan had kind of spun out for the reversal. Weber had the arm trapped and took him back to his back and almost got near fall points.
1:03 to go in the second period. A 5-1 lead for Lance Weber. Right now, Ryan Egan on the bottom. Lance Weber in the yellow and blue in control.
This is the classic battle of power with Lance Weber against the finesse of Ryan Egan, and power has won it so far. Weber really likes to stay under those arms, both with the front double underhook, and he gives Egan the escape, and he's back to that double underhook, controlling the tie-up. Egan would like to get underneath and work on those legs, but he hasn't been able to do it.
Egan with just a couple of points on escapes, 2 takedowns, 1 in each period so far for Lance Weber.
Weber has clearly controlled the setup situation. There he is again with that double underhook, and Egan trying to sit underneath to get a duck under, and it didn't work. And he's going to need to come up with a different kind of angle to initiate his attack from, because Weber's clearly controlling the offense right now.
Time running out in the second period. That's it. 5-2 Lance Weber of Maine West with the lead over Ryan Egan with a period to go at AA 125 pounds.
Once again, 2 wrestlers that we may see again in the duels. Maine West, the #1 rated team all year. Marist rated #2 right now. They're in opposite brackets. There's a good, or actually there's a good chance we could see them wrestle a semifinal in the state tournament. And these guys may not have seen the last of each other. And now a stalling warning called by Andy Warner, our official, against Lance Weber, not trying to improve his position, just staying underneath the arms from the rear.
13 seconds are gone in the third period. A 5-2 lead for Lance Weber. No scoring yet in the final period.
Now Weber still riding underneath the arms, and Egan picked up the leg, trying to come around in a potentially dangerous situation. The Marist corner wanting to know where that's coming from, but Weber's arm kind of pulled back there behind the head, and now the escape makes it 5-3. And once again, Weber trying to work his offense with the double underhooks. It's been effective so far, trying to drop to the duck under. That doesn't work, but Ryan Egan has not really been able to do anything with that double underhook to counter it.
5-3, 2 takedowns for Weber. 3 escapes for Egan.
Now Egan trying to stay out of the tie. Weber again wants to lock up the double underhook, and Egan shooting from too far away right now. He's got to work inside a little bit more, but of course that he kind of plays into Weber's strength right there. Egan needs to get an angle to try and work that offense.
40 seconds to go in the final period. 5-3 Weber at AA 125 pounds.
Now Egan with the underhook, he'd certainly like to slip that, clear that arm, maybe spin behind for the takedown. He's trying to now shoot underneath to the legs. But that straight underneath attack has not worked for him. He's going to need to create an angle, and he's running out of time.
Just 17 seconds remaining. He's down by just 2. Let's switch it over now to Class A, where they are about to begin the final period at 125 pounds. Ryan Berger and Muhammad Seymour in the blue, Chris Spillum of Orion in the black, and Berger with a 5-0 lead. Berger 37-2, Spillum is 40-1. They're about to begin the final period, and Berger will start in control on top.
Just a workmanlike job so far for Berger. Couple of takedowns and escape. Spillum starting the third period on top here. And now Berger looking for a tilt. Couldn't quite get it. Now Spillum looking for the switch. And Berger breaks it back down.
Berger led 2-0 after the first period. Getting a takedown. And picked up another takedown at 34 seconds remaining in the second period to increase his lead to 5-0. Let's quickly switch back to AA with just 10 seconds remaining between Egan and Weber.
And Egan has really never had a chance to get his offense working. There he's got a single, trying to spin behind. He's not going to be able to finish it.
He runs out of time. And Lance Weber of Maine West wins it by the score of 5-3 and finishes the year at 44-1. Egan closes out at 40-2.
First state champion ever for Maine West is Lance Weber.
As now we're back at Class A, 59 seconds remaining, still 5-0 Ryan Berger of Muhammad Seymour.
And now a stalling warning against Berger on the top. Be interesting to see. Now he's going to give the optional start. Looks like he's going to let Spillum go and start working on his feet.
He'll let him go and give up the point. So it's 5-1.
Dave Turner, the official, working his first state tournament this year, his first individual state tournament. The officials want to see action, even especially on the top. And if they don't think they're getting it, they're going to make that call. And Berger will go back to the attack on his feet and try to work something there to get points.
21 seconds remaining.
Berger again working on that arm. Penetrates underneath to try and finish. He's got the double leg, and it's a takedown. His third of the match.
7-1.
And it's going to be a second state championship for Muhammad Seymour.
He joins Chris Kolopanis as a state champion, a 7-1 final. Ryan Berger, the junior from Muhammad Seymour, finishes at 38-2. Chris Spillum closes out the year at 40-2. 4 weight classes are in the book, 9 more to go from the Assembly Hall in Champaign, and lots more coming your way after this on Sports Channel. And we're back at the Assembly Hall in Champaign. The IHSA State Wrestling Championships continue now at 130 pounds. This is AA. In the yellow, Chris Winter of Maine West, a senior, 42-3. In the black, Grant Herr of Morton, a senior, who is 43-0, the defending champion at 125 pounds.
And Grant Herr, a 3-time state place winner, 4-time state qualifier. clearly one of the outstanding seniors in the state. And he has dominated this year, a 130-pound weight class that has had incredible depth from one end of the state to the other. And he has shown in tournaments and in duels against loaded weight classes everywhere he's gone that he is the top 130-pounder in the state so far. And Chris Winter had one bad day this year, about the end of January, fell out of the rankings a little bit, but redeemed himself this week, and here he is in the state final.
53 seconds remaining in the first period. No score between Grant Hare and Chris Winter.
Hare with the single leg, trying to finish it, and he spins behind and does finish it. First takedown of the match. Hare, the first of two Morton wrestlers we're going to see in the finals, and boy, watch these guys on their feet. They are really something else.
We're outside of the circle with 32 seconds to go in the first period. Grant Hare, a 2-0 lead. Coached by Greg Pritchard. Take a look at that eye.
It's been a rough week for some of these guys, as you can tell.
Gives up the point on the escape to Winter.
Especially Winter, who, as we said, with the toughness and the depth of the 130-pound weight class, had 4 very tough matches to get to this point.
15 seconds to go.
The quarterfinal win over previously undefeated Brian Joseph of St. Charles, in which he had to come from behind to do it in the final minute with a 5-point move, was really the match that got him on his way. 5 seconds left to go in the first period, and still 2-1 in favor of Hare, who has the only takedown of the first period.
And the first period's over. A 2-1 lead for Grant Hare of Morton over Chris Winter. Now, of course, the wrestlers have the option whether they want to start the second period in control.
You almost always see a wrestler at this point defer his choice because they want to have that choice at the start of the third period when they want to know what they have to do. And Hare, with the escape, now takes a 3-1 lead. Winter with the chance, of course, to work out with the 125-pound champion Lance Weber every day in the room, and a little bit more of a low-level attack, but Hare counters that low shot, stopped him underneath, and spun behind and got the takedown. And Hare, really one of the most technically sound wrestlers in this entire tournament, and you saw why right there.
So it's a 5-1 lead for Grant Hare of Morton. Let's go to Class A. A heck of a match between Steve Amy of Rockridge and Adam Cornwell of Sandwich. Two great programs represented here. Steve Amy wrestling for his coach, his dad, head coach Rick Amy, and Amy just a freshman, 37-1. Cornwell, a senior, 37-2, and right now it's a 4-2 lead for Amy, and he gives up the escape. It's 4-3.
This a rematch of the Olympia sectional final, and we may be seeing a 4-time state champion in AA at our next match. We may be seeing the start of a 4-time state champion run right here. Steve Amy has been very impressive all year long, and a couple takedowns there in the first period gave him that 4-2 lead.
37 seconds to go in the second period. There are benefits being a coach's son. Has its liabilities too, but it haven't seemed to bother freshman Steve Amy.
Adam Cornwell, a Sandwich state qualifier a couple of years ago, has had a very quietly had a great season, and 2-0 win over Todd Cox of Muhammad Seymour, a wrestler who's really coming on late in the year in the semifinals, really established himself here in the final, and he's wrestling Steve Amy tough so far after losing to him 6-2 in the finals at the Olympia last week.
Nothing yet as time runs out, and at the end of 2 periods it's a 4-3 lead for Steve Amy, the freshman from Rockridge of Taylor Ridge. So they'll begin the final period separated by just a point.
Amy starting the third period on the bottom. And Cornwell with the legs in. Trying to work something on top here. You see the official John Weiser, another official working his first state tournament, done a great job. Keeping an eye on this situation closely. Now Cornwell out to the side a little bit.
Trying to get that turn,
And
but
Amy
an escape.
stands up and gets the escape. Back to the 2-point lead.
45 seconds gone in the final period. 5-3 Steve Amy. All right, let's switch back over to Double A. It is 5-3 in favor of Grant Hur. 1:30 to go in the third period.
And the second takedown on a beautiful counter by Grant Hare. He caught Winter shooting from too far away and didn't finish the shot, and he came right around behind and scored.
A 7-3 lead now with 1:14 to go.
You're going to score against a wrestler like Hare, who knows all the angles on his feet. You got to be able to take a better shot than that, because Hare can initiate the offense, he can counter. He's shown he can do it all on his feet, not only this year, but last year in this tournament. And now the escape, and it's 7-4.
Hur last year was undefeated at 35-0 and winning 125 pounds. He is looking for his 44th win without a defeat as he leads here with 54 seconds remaining.
Winter's going to have to set up his offense just a little bit better. He's taken 2 bad shots that Hare has turned into takedowns for himself.
35 seconds remaining in Double A at 130 pounds.
And now Hare drops down to the double at his 4th takedown of the match. He was working the 2-on-1 top, dropped down to the double, and he made that one look easy.
16 seconds remaining. That's 2 takedowns in this final period alone for Grant Hur.
And 4 in the match. And in a couple matches from now, we're going to see another Morton wrestler, Tim Glover, who's got over 30 takedowns in this tournament. These Morton wrestlers really know how to wrestle on their feet.
Just 5 seconds left. And the crowd already anticipating, begin to applaud. And 9-4, the 130-pound champion, Grant Hur of Morton, 44-0. 79-0 in 2 years and 2 state championships.
We've watched Grant Hare. In 2 years here, he's just a technician on his feet, and he showed it again this year with 4 takedowns at another state championship.
Let's go now and take a look at the end of the Class A 130-pound match between Steve Amy and Adam Cornwell. This is in the final period. Amy at this time leading 5-3. He picked up his 5th point on an escape. 45 seconds in, that's the last few moments. He wins it 5-3. Finishes the year 38-1, and Cornwell closes out 37-3. So that finishes at 130 pounds. Next up at the Assembly Hall will be the AA and A championships at 135 pounds. As we move to our 6th weight class here in the 60th Illinois High School Association Wrestling Championships, the 24th year already of A and AA championships. In the AA, another one of the Marist's wrestlers in the finals, the senior Pat McEnany, will be facing one of the stars. We talked about David Douglas at the start of the show. Douglas 38-0. When was the last time he lost? Sophomore year?
Way back in his sophomore year, and of course During his sophomore year, Douglas became the first wrestler in state history to win state titles, and there you see David Douglas on your screen in both classes. Douglas, the Class A state champion as a freshman for Luther South, moved over to Thornridge as a sophomore, and he's won it every year since then, trying to go for his third Class AA title. And if he wins tonight, he'll be the 6th four-time state champion ever.
Well, with the Williams gang going, we have to have somebody else pick up the slack, I suppose. T.J. Williams, the last of that tremendously talented wrestling family, closing out his career last year. And so here, McEnany in the gold from Marist, Douglas in the blue from Thornridge.
Third week in a row that these two have wrestled, and both their previous matches were classics. Back in the regional at Shepherd, McEnany took David Douglas to overtime before Douglas was able to pull out a 9-7 win. Little bit of a different story last week at the Morton sectional in that final, as McEnany came through a loaded bracket where he had to face 3 rated wrestlers to get to the finals. Just didn't have anything left for Douglas, who adjusted his attack a little bit and came out on top with a 16-9 win. And so Douglas 2 for 2 so far in their meetings in the last couple of weeks in the state tournament series, trying to make it 3 for 3.
Now McEnany was 5th at 130 pounds last year, while Douglas was winning the state championship. McEnany, like a lot of those Marist wrestlers, can be tough on top, but the question is, will he ever have that position against Douglas?
I don't know if Douglas is going to give him a chance to get that position, as Douglas scores right there on the high crotch. And you saw McEnany come on out, and Douglas says, I don't want any part of this. I'm going to let you go because I can control this match on my feet.
So a 2-1 lead for Douglas with 35 seconds to go.
And now McEnany looking for the fireman's, but Douglas stepped over, nearly put him on his back, and no takedown yet. Now the takedown given by Dave Brost, the official, at Douglas with a cross-face cradle in here. 4-1 the lead for David Douglas, and I don't think he's going to press this issue too much. Well, maybe he will. Douglas with the cradle, he's going to get a count.
And that's the end of the first period, 4-1, plus more points. He gets 3 in the near fall, 7-1 Douglas after 1 period.
Well, we expected Douglas to dominate this match on his feet, but Douglas showed us something right there with the cross-face cradle. He had it when he got the takedown, and he pressed the issue, and 3 near fall points right away. And McEnany, no chance to counter. He has a 7-1 lead, and he's in command. Now Douglas working the over and under with McEnany. McEnany now in the position where he's going to have to go after Douglas a little bit because he's behind by a lot. And Douglas isn't going to give him the opportunity. He's going to keep this match on the feet where he has the advantage.
He's down by 3 takedowns. You've got a guy with 1 loss in his career.
Douglas spun behind. McEnany had the whizzer, and Douglas limp-armed out of that and got the takedown. It's his 3rd of the match, and he's ahead 9-1.
And a point on the escape. It's 9-2.
You kind of get the idea with this match that Douglas kind of wanted to make a statement. He's had 2 tough matches with McEnany 2 weeks in a row, and he really took the initiative so far in this match, shooting underneath to the double. McEnany in again on the whizzer. Douglas staying on that near leg. McEnany trying to spin behind for the takedown, but Douglas still has the leg hooked, and it doesn't look like McEnany is going to be able to get the hip over hip position that you would need in this situation to get the 2 points. Still trying to spin behind, and it could be a stalemate situation coming up. Not a stalemate yet. Now McEnany does get the takedown.
Makes it 9-4 with just 5 seconds to go in the second period.
McEnany trying the tilt, but really he finished that takedown, but it was too late in the second period, and now McEnany, he knows his only chance is on the top. He's got the choice in the third period. He's going to take the top position. Try and turn Douglas. Important here for Douglas to get away right away.
We're going to switch now over to Class A going into the final period. It is 10-5 Nathan Grauman's of Vandalia over David Fox of Muhammad Seymour. Grauman's in the red, white, and black. And he picked up 3 takedowns in the first period, opened up a 6-2 lead. Fox was able to cut the gap down to 7-5, but now it's 10-5 with 20 seconds gone in the final period.
And a great double leg takedown right to the back by Grauman's. He got the takedown, says Ray Weinsberg. He got the 2 near fall points, says Ray Weinsberg. And the escape for David Fox. A real physical dominating performance here by Grauman's.
Let's take a look, another look at that, Rob.
Now with the outside single here by Grauman's, works to a double, and he had the half Nelson, and he was able to add to the takedown with the 2 near fall points before Fox was able to spin out of it and get the loss of control on the edge. A nice flurry there by Grauman's to add to his lead, and now looks like no near fall points, but still a 12-6 lead, and another takedown for Grauman's, and he's in command right now.
That is now 7 takedowns in this match. Back over to Double A. It's 11-4 in favor of David Douglas.
Douglas did get the reversal for the 11-4 lead. McEnany trying to work up a spladle there. And he's trying it again, and Dave Brost, the official, signals a stalemate. So a chance gone there for McEnany with 32 seconds to go. Douglas trying to become the 6th 4-time state champion with a 7-point lead here. 32 seconds left, and he gives up the escape.
Makes it 11-5, 27 seconds remaining.
Douglas working here. Up top now McEnany to the single leg. Not able to finish it. Douglas working behind, and a stalemate, potentially dangerous, called by Dave Brost, and they'll bring him back to their feet. 9 seconds left. And Douglas works behind for the takedown. 13-5. And boy, what a finish.
13-5 the final. David Douglas, 39-0. Wins on 4th state championship, and the crowd salutes him.
I think David Douglas really didn't want to leave anything to chance here. He got the 7-1 lead early, and he coasted to the state title, got the takedown at the buzzer, and he wanted to go out showing why he's a 4-time state champion, and he did just that.
And a standing ovation from the crowd, and a jubilant David Douglas caps off one of the most stellar high school wrestling careers in the great history of IHSA State Championship Wrestling. Coming up, action at 140 pounds as the IHSA State Wrestling Championships continue from the Assembly Hall in Champaign. Welcome back to the Assembly Hall. That's Nathan Grauman's, who was the Class A 135-pound champ. He beat David Fox and Muhammad Seymour 19-8. Very physical bout for Grauman's, and still a second place for Muhammad with 2 other state champions. Not a bad night. Now at Double A, 140 pounds. In the blue, that's Craig Collins of De La Salle, a senior, 35-4. From Weber of Chicago, Lavelle Houston, rated number 3, a senior who's 39-1.
140 pounds, Tom, was one of the weight classes where we really had no idea what we were going to get. And here's Lavelle Houston going for the takedown. And near fall points too, maybe. He had the carry on Collins right to the back.
And he did pick up 2 near fall points and has a 4-0 lead.
Lavelle Houston, very much a strength wrestler. He has used that strength advantage to get here to the finals. His first time in the state tournament. Craig Collins of De La Salle, a big win. And now the Houston with Collins in trouble again. He's got the Saturday Night Ride on now with the legs in, and he ran the half Nelson. And this might be a fast pin. Collins fighting it off, it looks like.
He's got 16 seconds remaining till the period's over. Now 10.
Well, Lavelle Houston came out and took control of this bout right away. This is a rematch of the Morton sectional final where Collins won, and Houston trying to get revenge, and he's got a 7-0 lead.
7-0, but Collins did hold off and stay alive through the end of the first period.
Collins, a state quarterfinalist 2 years ago, didn't qualify for state last year. Here you see Houston with the double leg, picks it up, and he has the half Nelson in right here. Watch this as he takes Collins right to his back, throws in the legs, and has Collins in a lot of trouble.
That was with about 45 seconds remaining in the period now. As a medical timeout, let's move over to Class A, where it's Nick White of Sandwich, a junior, 38-1 against Dan Blagich of Montini, a junior, who's 40-1. And they've just started the second period, and the first point is up for Nick White, a 1-0 lead.
Situation here where both these wrestlers have come through very tough schedules all year. Dan Blagich of Montini is a pinner, and in many cases a fast pinner. He has 30 falls on the season this year, a great cradle, and you know Nick White is going to want to stay out of that. And here's Blagich looking for the single leg, trying to improve on it, and Nick White not letting him.
To add emphasis to those 30 falls, he's won 40 matches this year.
So you know if Dan Blagich is on, he's getting it done, and he's getting it done quick, as we have the stalemate called by Jim Carnahan, the official.
Still 1-0, Nick White. Just about a minute gone in the second period. This is Class A, 140 pounds.
Nick White knows he's kind of fighting for his life here. He wants to get the takedown, and he's got that front headlock, because if he gets taken down, he's going to have to battle against that great cradle that Blagich has, and he's spinning around behind and gets the takedown. Now Blagich with the stand-up, trying to break the hands, and White still hanging on, and that's kind of a dangerous move, but over near the edge, it didn't really hurt him.
3-0 Nick White with 31 seconds remaining in period number 2.
Now Blagich trying the stand up again.
The headgear comes off of Nick White, and that stops the bout. 22 seconds remaining in the second period. Class A, 140 pounds. White will begin in control.
Again, this is a match that White has been able to work his position, which of course is either on top or on the feet. He doesn't want to get underneath Blagich again. He can give Blagich a chance to work his move. Now Blagich again with the stand-up and looking for the switch. Wants to get that leg out of there, but time runs out in the second period.
Join the world champion Chicago Bulls on their quest for another NBA title.
And right here,
there's the fall. At 4:13. Nick White, 39-1, picks up another state championship for the Sandwich Indians. Blagich finishes at 40-2.
First pin in the finals, and it goes to Nick White. His brother Dale, state champ at 171 this year, and Nick follows in his brother's footsteps. And here it is. Blagich started the third period on top, and White took him right to the back. Had that arm trapped.
And there it was at 4:13. A state championship for Nick White, the junior from Sandwich. So he'll be back to defend his title next year. Now at AA, Craig Collins, Lavelle Houston. Houston in the red from Weber. And Collins, the senior, in the blue from De La Salle. It is 9-0. Lavelle Houston with 18 seconds to go in the second period.
Amazing. Looks like Lavelle Houston, as Collins gets the escape, going to be the second state champion for Weber, which up until this year, only one place winner in their history, and quite a job by this Weber team in the state tournament this year.
So with a period to go, Lavelle Houston with a 9-1 lead. He won the Catholic League championship. As you've mentioned, a very physically strong wrestler. You look at his upper body development.
And that's basically how he's gotten to the finals. Watching him in the semifinals against Dan Szyzeski of Libertyville, undefeated, and had a great year. Szyzeski just did not have the horsepower, the physical horsepower, to stay with Houston. And here is Houston spinning behind.
Houston had to work his way up the ladder all the way from the preliminary round, with wins over Matt Leffel of Cary Grove, Jake Sullivan of Civic Memorial, and Andy Martinez of Pontiac. And in the match you mentioned, the win over Szyzeski of Libertyville.
Now another injury time. And Collins, of course, the big win in the quarterfinals Friday night of this tournament. He had lost 3 times this year to Jason Geisinger of Providence, pinned Geisinger in the quarterfinals, and that got him to the semifinals, where he won 3-1 over Kevin Milligan of St. Charles, the #1 rated wrestler most of the season. So Collins really has had a very difficult road getting here to the finals, and he did just that.
But a satisfying road, because he also, not only avenging those losses earlier to Geisinger, avenged a loss to Milligan as well, did it all in 2 days.
And now maybe going to give Lavelle Houston a chance to avenge a loss last week in that Morton sectional.
They're outside the circle with 1:29 to go in the final period. 9-1 Lavelle Houston.
Craig Collins' brother, Mike Collins, who's in the De La Salle corner as an assistant coach there, 2-time state runner-up himself for Marist, was an NCAA All-America at the University of Missouri. So Mike's been around the state finals a couple of times. And after the escape, another takedown for Lavelle Houston. And he is in the driver's seat now.
Out of the circle, Houston now with an 11-2 lead. And really, just 1:09 remaining between Lavelle Houston and another state championship for Weber.
Weber's been very impressive in this tournament, and not only the Alexis Rivera, who we saw earlier in this tournament win a title at 112, as you see the escape, and 11-3, and a beautiful double leg dump for Lavelle Houston, and now 13-3. But Will Brown, Weber's 145-pounder, made the quarterfinals here. So really, it's been a dominating performance all around for Weber, as all 3 of their wrestlers here have had great performances.
What helps get a program turned around so quickly like that after years of not having a state-level quality program?
Well, you know, a lot of things really have to go your way. I think in Weber's case, I think a lot of things just came together this year with the chemistry with these kids. They had kind of a growing up year last year, going to a tough sectional at Downers Grove North, where they learned some lessons about what it would take to get to the next level, as you have the escape there and another takedown by Houston in a 15-4 lead. But these guys have really put in the work in the off season, and Dan Carroll, the Weber coach, has really worked hard with these guys all year round, and it's really shown.
Now a reversal for Collins. It's 15-6.
And Houston right back in on the leg attack. Not able to finish at that time. Collins does spin behind.
It's two more at 16-8, but just 5 seconds remaining. And the time's going to run out and crown another state champion for Weber. Lavelle Houston, 16-8. The final over Craig Collins of De La Salle. And a big, big night for the wrestling program at Weber High School.
One state place winner before this year, 2 state champs tonight. What a performance.
Houston 40-1 finishing off the year. Collins ended at 35-5. More coming your way. Up next, 145 pounds as the state championships continue. And we're back at the Assembly Hall in Champaign, getting ready to go to 145 pounds. This is the AA final between the top 2 rated wrestlers at this weight class. Matt Lackey, a junior from Moline, 38-0 on the year, and a senior from Morton, Tim Glover, who's 34-2. You see Glover right there, and now Lackey stepping into your screen to get this state championship bout started.
In AA 145, from Moline, Matt Lackey.
This weight class with some of the downstate talent taking center stage here for the championship.
Matt Lackey, you'll see in this tournament, take him down, let him up. Same style for Tim Glover. These two guys both like to mix it up on their feet. This could be one heck of a match. Lackey with the first takedown, rated #1 all year. And now Tim Glover in on the leg attack, but ran out of mat.
You see wrestlers pick up one another, and obviously you'd love to see perhaps a big body slam, but that's really against the rules.
If you lift a wrestler off the mat, you're responsible for a safe return, and it's always something you have to be on guard against, because slam calls have cost many a match in a very unfortunate situation.
Let's go over to Class A, where for the state championship at 145 pounds in the red, Ryan Castro, undefeated from Savannah. He's 34-0. And Jason Hoffman from Prairie Central. He's 36-6.
Castro with the near side cradle attempt there was trying to rock it back, and Hoffman wouldn't let him. Castro still working hard on top. And now he lets him escape. Joe Cliff, who produced 10 Class A state champions at Plano over a 14-year period in his first year at Prairie Central. And all indications are that he's really going to take that program to another level. Jason Hoffman, this is his first time in the state tournament, and he has made the finals. And Nathan Ward is 112-pounder with a 3rd place finish here in his first trip to the state tournament. So another level for Prairie Central, and we're going to see that even more in the future.
Castro's been #1 most of the year, a 3-time qualifier, and Hoffman's been in and out of the rankings, and after one period, a 2-1 lead for Ryan Castro of Savannah.
Castro 2 pins to get to the finals. Hoffman a 5-2 decision over Emil Odling of Harvard, and 7-5 over Trent Iliff of Muhammad Seymour. So he had the tough road to get here.
Castro with pins over Tim Donahue of Roxana and Joe Ward of Stanford Olympia. A minute 37 to go in the second period. Still 2-1 Ryan Castro. And now 2 points. Double check that. A point on the escape for Castro. He leads 3-1. And let's go over now as they're getting ready to begin the second period in Double-A. Matt Lackey again in the maroon. Tim Glover in the black.
And Glover had a great single leg shot there on Lackey right at the end of the period. Almost was able to finish it. Not quite. He ran out of time. And Lackey with the spin out and face out for the escape, and now trying the throw by. Nothing doing there. These two guys, this is the third time they've wrestled each other this year. They know each other very well. Met in the finals of the Mount Zion sectional last week with Lackey winning a 10-7 decision with 3 takedowns. And they met in the semifinals of the Glen Bard East tournament, and that was a 1-1 match until 9 seconds left when Lackey got the winning takedown. So these two guys have wrestled close all year. No reason to expect it's not going to be the same this time around.
A minute 13 to go in the second period. 3-1 Lackey over Glover right now.
And Lackey trying to shoot the straight underneath, and Glover stunned a little bit.
And while they take this medical timeout, we remind you the Chicago Tribune is the official newspaper of the IHSA State Championships. So pick up the Chicago Tribune for complete coverage of Illinois high school sports. Let's switch over now to Class A, and they're just about to run out of time in the second period. And it's 7-2 right now. 2 takedowns for Castro in the period with a minute 7 to go and with 25 seconds to go. Opening up the 3-1 lead. Now it's 7-2 going into the final period.
Castro would be the first state champion for Savannah in some time. Of course, the Indians dominated the early days of Class A. They won 5 state championships, 6 state championships the first 9 years of the AA states of the 2-class state series. And Castro with the 7-2 lead, trying to bring a little glory back to that Savannah program, but Hoffman gets the reversal and he narrows the gap to 7-4.
A minute 20 to go in the third period. Back over to Double-A now. It's 5-1 in favor of Matt Lackey with 23 seconds to go in the second period. Lackey there in control.
And once again, the difference here, Glover took a fine shot, was unable to finish, and Lackey countered, was able to spin behind and get the takedown, and he leads 5-1. Glover has had some good shots in this match, has not been able to finish one yet, and when Lackey had his opportunities, he's finished. That's been the bottom line so far.
Both these quality programs, Moline, one of the top teams in the dual team championships in Double-A last year, as they've reached the end of the second period. 5-1 Lackey leading Glover.
Lackey third in the state 2 years ago as a freshman. Last year sprained his ankle in the sectional and was did qualify for the state tournament, but was severely hampered and did not place.
In Class A, they move out of the circle. Ryan Castro now with a 9-5 lead with just 12 seconds to go in the match. Castro taking control with the 2 takedowns in the second period. Had a 3-1 lead, opened up the 7-1 lead, and he's held that advantage. And that's it. Ryan Castro finishes off an undefeated season at 35-0. A 9-5 victory, a decision over Jason Hoffman of Prairie Central. Castro caps off his career with an undefeated season, the Class A 145-pound state champion.
undefeated, #1 most of the year, and Castro showed it. He's the state champion.
Now over to AA, where there's 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining in the bout between Matt Lackey of Moline and Tim Glover of Morton. 5-2 the lead for Lackey.
These two guys have really taken downstate wrestling to a very high level. Matt Lackey, a junior, is going to be one of the most heavily recruited kids in this state next year. And Tim Glover has taken his game to a new level this year. He's going to open some eyes with his performance here in the Assembly Hall, win or lose in this match.
Lackey, who's been #1 for just about the entire season at this weight class.
And Glover went to #2 with his performance at Glenbard East, despite his loss to Lackey, and he's shown that he was entirely deserving of that ranking ever since then.
This is AA, 145 pounds with just 55 seconds remaining. 5-2 Matt Lackey with the lead.
Glover likes to shoot in straight underneath to try and pick up that double leg takedown, and you can see Lackey tying up that left leg, and now Glover does try to shoot straight underneath, and boy, what a great move by Lackey to get those legs out and away from Glover being able to score with the double. Sometimes it's the takedowns you don't score as well as the ones you do that show what kind of ability you have.
26 seconds remaining. A 3-point edge for Matt Lackey.
And now a stall warning against Glover. In on the double. Lackey with the hip drive. And Greg Cozy, the head official here at the state championship, signals a stalemate.
10 seconds remaining. And time running out. 2 seconds. 1. It's all over. And Lackey holds on for a 5-2 victory and wins the state championship, completing an undefeated run at 39-0, and certainly justifying his #1 ranking.
And these two guys may meet again in the dual sectionals. Moline's got Morton on their side of the bracket.
So that completes 145 pounds. Coming up, action from 152 pounds as the state wrestling championships continue from the Assembly Hall on Sports Channel. Blackhawks and the Hartford Whalers on Sports Channel. What Hawk fans want. This is AA, 152 pounds. In the gold, undefeated John Sears of Marist. And in the blue, Charles Martelli, also undefeated, a junior from Naperville North.
Marquee matchup at 152. These two guys have been rated 1 and 2 for most of the year. Martelli 3rd in the state last year and has been dominating most of this season. Gone the distance very, very few times this year.
Just about a minute gone in the opening period. No score.
Martelli, another junior that's going to be recruited very heavily next year as he tries to hit the inside single there, switches off to a double, trying to finish, and he keeps his feet in bounds, and the 2 points is awarded by the official, Dan Ferranosi.
2 on the takedown with 44 seconds remaining in the opening period. And Martelli gets the first points of the match.
Marist bench not very happy with that call. They thought Sears had a little bit of a whizzer in, but the takedown awarded. And now Martelli gives up the escape.
.28 seconds remaining in the first period. They're out of the circle, 2-1 right now. Martelli.
Martelli and his style, very reminiscent of a wrestler we saw in these championships last year for Naperville North, Nate Patrick, who was a state champion at 171. just kind of carries himself the same way Nate Patrick does, just as they go off the mat. And I think he's learned a lot from working out with Patrick for a couple of years in their room.
Time running out on the first period here in Double-A, 152 pounds. And it's a 2-to-1 edge for Charles Martelli as we switch now to Class A at 152. One of the defending champions we talked about, Tony Niebuhr, in the yellow from Normal University, a senior, against Brian Suter, a senior from Oregon. Suter 41-0, Niebuhr 19-2.
Niebuhr got a late start to the season. Broke a bone in his leg during the soccer season last fall and wasn't able to get back on the mats competitively until last month. And he's made the most of it. He's back here in the finals. Took him a little time to get readjusted. Brian Suter of Oregon, the first wrestler from his school ever to make it to a state final. He's been here 3 times and didn't place either of the first 2, but finally is here.
Niebuhr, you saw, picked up the first point of this match on the escape early in this period. 1:21 to go in the second period.
Oregon, another team we could very easily see in the duels next week. They've put 2 great years back to back and have had a great run here in the individual tournament.
The dual team champions will be crowned a week from today at Huff Hall on the University of Illinois campus, and that's a totally different animal from what you see here. Lots of strategy in terms of the draw, the weight class. And that, of course, will be coming your way on Sports Channel as well. 59 seconds remaining in the second period. Still a 1-0 lead for Normal University's Tony Niebuhr.
Niebuhr, a guy that likes to keep it close to the best. Had a very tough match in the semifinals, 3-1 over Bill Izzy of Piatone, a 2-time place winner now. Suter's had a very dominating season, but he really hasn't been able to penetrate the defense of Tony Niebuhr here.
30 seconds remaining in the second period.
Get inside him.
Still just the 1 point. They're out of the circle, and a stall warning issued to Tony Niebuhr.
Suter had the underhook there, trying to.
While they have an injury looked at there for Suter, let's go over to Double-A, where they've got 20 seconds remaining in period number 2. It's a 3-1 edge for Martelli of Naperville North.
Sears has started taking it to Martelli a little bit offensively. Sears does have a warning for stalling. Now a injury timeout here for Sears.
Let's bounce right back over to Class A. We try to keep the action coming your way. 7 seconds to go in the second period. Still 1-0 Tony Niebuhr.
As we said before, Suter trying to press the issue a little bit offensively. He took Niebuhr off the mat 1 time, and Niebuhr was warned for stalling. Suter just did it again, wasn't able to pull in the ankle.
And they have finished 2 periods and just 1 point. That early escape for Niebuhr early in the second period. Right now the difference with 2 minutes to go as they enter the final period.
Now Suter may with the chance to get the escape and tie it up. Situation where a takedown could very well win it. Caution against Niebuhr for improper starting position. You're allowed 2 of those before a point would be assessed to the opponent. Mike Wilkie, the official, wanting to see the proper position of the hand on the elbow. And now Niebuhr trying to work the arm bar on the left side. Looks like he's going to try and work on the top a little bit here against Suter.
They're out of the circle with 1:36 remaining in the match. Still just a 1-0 lead for Tony Niebuhr.
Suter stands up right away, spins out and gets the escape, and we have a tie match.
1-1 with 1:26 to go.
And this is where Niebuhr has really got to be careful. He has a warning for stalling assessed against him. Suter has had the offense going his way most of the last period, and now he tries to reach underneath for the leg again. Niebuhr trying the knee tap, and they go off the edge.
Let's get an update now. Go back over to AA. It's a 3-2 match right now. Martelli with the 1-point edge as they go out of the circle with 1:26 to go, and shaken up is John Sears.
And Sears has just been penalized for stalling by Dan Ferranosi, as we have another injury timeout for Sears, and Mark Gervais of Marist shaking his head.
So let's bounce right back over where they're running down in the final minute in Class A. 43 seconds remaining. It's a 1-1 match between Suter and Niebuhr, and could we be heading for our first overtime in the finals?
Amazing that we haven't had an overtime match so far. I thought we'd have several, judging from what happened in the quarterfinals and in the semifinals, but very well could have one here with 39 seconds left.
And now they're going to take a look at Tony Niebuhr. So both our matches here, 152 right now, being stopped by injuries, but they're ready to wrestle now back at AA. So let's take a look at that, Matt, with 1:25 to go. 4-2 lead for Martelli of Naperville North in the blue as he shoots under.
Trying to work it to a double, and he has the takedown. Nearly got back points there, but Sears spun out to his stomach. Just gives up the 2.
Martelli has had the lead since he got his first takedown, 1:16 into the first round.
Trying to work that arm bar.
Martelli has not trailed. Sears has been able to get it as close as 3-2 early in this period.
Little bit of disagreement here by Marist coach Mark Gervais with a couple of the calls, and I think he's going to go to the bench and talk this one over.
Let's go over to Class A, where they have just 20 seconds remaining now, and a possible overtime coming up. 1-1 Suter and Niebuhr at 152 pounds. 12 seconds left.
Suter again pressing the issue, and now Niebuhr.
They're out of the circle, no control, and just 3 seconds left in regulation.
Niebuhr had the head and the leg there on the possible takedown, and perhaps a situation there where the stall warning might have worked against him. Perhaps if he'd been forcing the issue, he might have gotten that call, but he didn't. We're going to overtime.
Our first overtime. Rob, explain exactly how it's decided. It's sudden death, isn't it?
It's sudden death, 2 minutes. The wrestled on the feet. First wrestler to score wins. And if neither wrestler scores in 2 minutes, then we'll tell you what happens next. It's a 30-second tiebreaker decided by a coin flip, which as far as starting position is concerned. But first, we've got 1:45 to get through.
1-1 tie in Class A. That's Tony Niebuhr of Normal University in the yellow, Brian Suter of Oregon in the red, and they're out of the circle, still nothing doing.
1-1, and not an awful lot of offensive moves, but some chances at offense by Suter. Now trying to spin behind after a Niebuhr shot, and
he's close.
Great balance by Niebuhr to spin out of that situation.
And they're out of the circle. Oh, I thought he was seconds away from getting the takedown and the victory.
And now injury time for Niebuhr, it looks like.
Quickly, they're running down to the last few seconds at AA. Just 7 seconds remaining. It is 6-3, Martelli of Naperville North. Martelli and Sears, and it's all over. 2 points more there for Martelli at the very end, and he wins it 8-3 the final, and Martelli finishes with the championship in the battle of the undefeateds. He finishes 44-0. Sears, a tough way to win, 40-1.
And this is a match I'm sorry we didn't get to see more of. Awfully competitive, but Martelli comes out on top.
They're still in overtime now at Class A. Just about a minute into overtime. Still 1-1, no control yet being awarded.
Hubert trying to spin behind to get the touchdown.
There's the point.
And he gets it.
There's the point for Niebuhr, and he wins it 2-1 in overtime. Two points on the takedown, and the final official, 3-1 in overtime. Tony Niebuhr, 20-2, wins the state championship. State champion for the second consecutive year.
Both
and Suter at 41-1.
Both wrestlers with great chances to score during that overtime. Niebuhr's the one that scored when it counted.
Coming up, we'll go to 160 pounds and 171 pounds as the state championships continue. Now 160 pounds at AA in the all black. That is Alan Wilson of McHenry, a senior. And he is facing a very familiar last name, Ben Mena, a senior from Rockford East. Mena 28-3, Wilson undefeated 43-0. Mena third at 160 pounds last year, and of course his brother, a former state champion, Mike.
Actually a cousin.
A cousin.
A cousin of two Menas who combined for 7 state titles, and Ben would like to add that to the family. Ben, a very stocky wrestler, one of the 8 athletes that signed with Northern Illinois during the November signing period. And Al Wilson has been #1 all year, undefeated, not flashy, but boy, he gets the job done. And this is a rematch of the semifinals of the DeKalb sectional, and Ben Mena with the first takedown on the fireman's carry.
37 seconds to go in the first period.
That match in the sectional semifinals went all the way down to the tiebreaker with, and Wilson, Mena running the half Nelson. Looks like there is a 2 count coming. He's actually the double arm bar, and he's got Wilson turned.
And they've got 12 seconds remaining.
Tony Clark, the official, showing 2 points for the near fall on that double arm bar. And right before the end of the period, a 2-point reversal for Al Wilson. That could be a big 2 points as we move on farther in this match.
Indeed, Mena was seconds away from going into the second period, up by 4 points, but Wilson getting that reversal at the last second of the first period, cutting it to 4-2 as we go now to Class A at 160 pounds. In the maroon, Anthony Pasquesi of Richmond Burton, and in the red, Adam Schaefer, a senior from Morrison. Schaefer 37-4, and Pasquesi, you see, 31-2.
Both of these guys, second-time state qualifiers, first-time placers. Both have been in the rankings rather regularly this year, although not #1. Our #1, Steve Burleson of Orion, upset last night in the quarterfinals and didn't get a chance to wrestle back. So both these guys have made the most of their opportunity to get through the bracket.
We're 50 seconds into the second period. 1-0 in favor of Pasquesi of Richmond Burton.
Schaefer beat Ryan West of Caneland in overtime in the semis, and West had beaten Burleson in overtime in the quarterfinals. So when West lost, that knocked Burleson out of the tournament.
A lot of movement, but no points.
Pasquesi in on the single leg, had the high crotch, switched off to the single leg, and Morrison had the step over there for a minute, but couldn't score with it, and Pasquesi has the takedown.
25 seconds to go, and Pasquesi, as you saw, leading by 3.
Get off your hip. Come on, let's go. That ankle. Get that ankle. Pull it up now.
And they call a potentially dangerous situation with 12 seconds to go in the second period. Let's go over to Double-A. A minute 25 remaining in the second period, and Ben Mena in the striped singlet there with a 5-2 lead.
Now this is going to be a problem for Alan Wilson, trying to penetrate. He's going to have to score some points here against Mena, and Mena is very difficult to score on. You look at his body build, very powerful, very stocky, very difficult to penetrate, and Wilson's going to have to develop some kind of angle to his attack to start to score some points. Wilson hasn't been behind very much at all this year, and this is going to be a challenge for him.
.45 seconds remaining in period number 2. Still 5-2 in favor of Mena.
Rockford East has had a lot of place winners over the years, but it's been 32 years since they've had a state champion, and it would be quite a mark not only for Mena but for Rockford East and the great team they've got this year to pick up a state champ.
They'll restart with 26 seconds remaining. Mena with the only point of this period.
Wilson will have the choice in the third period, and I'm sure he'll take down. And the thing here is not to panic. Basically, one takedown will get him into this match. And it'd be nice if he could hit one here, because it wouldn't give Mena much of a chance to get out, and he could pick up the 2 points. But Mena spins behind and almost gets the 2 as they go off the edge.
Just 2 seconds remaining in period number 2. And as soon as this period is over, we will switch to the final round of the Class A 160-pound as the time runs out. And let's go over now to Class A, where with 35 seconds left in the bout, it's a 4-3 lead for Schaefer, but he's going to pick up more. A 6-3 lead.
Pasquesi now with a 3-point lead. Just 20 seconds left to go.
After 2 periods, Pasquesi had a 3-zip lead. A point given to Pasquesi.
Point for stalling on the top. And now Schaefer with the stand-up. Schaefer needs 2 points in a hurry. Pasquesi brings him right back down.
Pasquesi up by 2. And that's it. Anthony Pasquesi wins it 6-4 over Adam Schaefer. He saw Schaefer rally back in the final period, but he got those 2 late points there and wins it 6-4 as Pasquesi finishes the year 32-2. Schaefer closes out the season 37-5. Now at Double-A, a minute 13 to go in the final period. 5-3, Mena still with the lead.
And at this point, Wilson is just a takedown away from being back in this match as we have a blood stoppage.
So now they will go to injury time.
Second time that Mena's been treated for the bloody nose.
In years past, you might not have been so highly regarded, but now with today's world, you have to be much more careful with it. Obviously, the ultimate of contact sports. We're at Assembly Hall in Champaign. I'm Tom Stalker alongside Rob Sherrill as Sports Channel's coverage continues from Champaign, Illinois. This is the 60th edition of the Illinois High School Association Wrestling Championships, but not the close of the wrestling season. Also coming your way on Sports Channel will be the Dual Team Championships. It'll be staged a week from today at Huff Hall, historic Huff Hall here on the U of I campus.
32 years since a state championship wrestling event was held at Huff Hall. State championship, individual championship moved permanently here to the Assembly Hall in 1973. It's been here ever since. And now,
of course, this event has had some curious places. They've wrestled in the Great Hall of Memorial Stadium here on the U of I campus, which is not exactly Madison Square Garden.
4 different sites here in Champaign, and this has really become the home, the Assembly Hall, of the individual state tournament, and getting to the hall is what every individual wrestler works toward all season.
35 seconds remaining.
Wilson needs a takedown. He's down 5-3. And the straight underneath attack we've seen throughout this match is not going to work for him.
And a stalemate and another injury timeout, as again they will take a look at Mena. 35 seconds remaining in the third period here at AA 160 pounds. We still have coming up bouts at 171, 189, and then the big guys at 275 pounds. Another large crowd on hand, and traditionally this weekend draws them by the tens of thousands here to Champaign and the Assembly Hall. It all starts out in the final evening with one of the most impressive events in all of sports, the March of Champions here at this great Assembly Hall. The hall darkened completely and the spotlight shine, and the Olympic theme blares, and the champions and their coaches walk out, and it's a most impressive sight and a most impressive weekend, and one of the reasons why IHSA clearly at the forefront in holding state championships across this country. A real trend-setting organization, and just another great weekend as championships continue to be crowned event after event here at the Assembly Hall this weekend.
Well, no question about it. There's nothing else in the country like the grand march of finalists at this state wrestling championships. The introduction of the grand finals, the introduction of the competitors under the spotlight with your name up on the scoreboard. It's something you never forget, especially if you're lucky enough to be a part of it.
15 seconds to go. There's a point for Wilson. It's 5-4. 10 seconds left. They're out of the circle with 7 seconds.
And Wilson now could win it with a takedown. He's got time for maybe one more good shot. At under 4, he shoots straight underneath, and he's shown that hasn't worked so far.
And he runs out of time, and Mena holds on and wins it 5-4. And Wilson suffers his first loss of the year by a single point. And Mena wins the championship. He's 29-3, wins the 160-pound AA title, and Wilson finishes the year at 43-1.
First state champion for Rockford East in 32 years. It's been a long time coming. They've been there close. This time they get one.
Congratulates Coach Perry Giardini. Has 3 weight classes to go here at the Assembly Hall in Champaign.
Getting a hug there from his dad, Ben Mena, who's one of Rockford East's assistant coaches. Has been for many years.
So coming up, we've got 171 pounds, 189, and the heavyweights. 3 weight classes to go in these 13 individual state championships that are crowned here at the Assembly Hall in Champaign. Glad you can join us here as part of Sports Channel's expansive continuing coverage of the IHSA State Championship Series all year long, coming right into your home here on Sports Channel. You're taking a look at Jason Christensen, rated number 2 in AA at 171 pounds, a senior from Civic Memorial of Bethalto. And there in the blue from Woodstock, a junior, Matt Hubner, rated number 6, 171, and there are the champions. That's Tony Niebuhr atop the stand at 152 pounds. They give each of the champions the brackets with all the names, and of course their name right there in the state championship, and it'll go proudly back into his room at home, and his cherished memento for the rest of his life. An emotional moment for sure.
Well, these are great awards that they give at this state tournament. They're certainly something that are always proudly displayed, and having a chance to get around the country and see some of the These are great awards that they give at this state tournament. They're certainly something that are always proudly displayed, and having a chance to get around the country and see some of the honors that are given some of the athletes year-round. Hard to beat what they do here in Illinois.
So now they're wrestling at AA, 171 pounds. Christensen against Hubert.
1996.
No points yet, 20 seconds into the match.
Jason Christensen, a great career record down at Civic Memorial, one of the leaders of a team that had some great seniors this year, and he gets a pancake here against Hubner, and he's got him in some trouble. Now he throws in the legs. This guy's been a pinner his entire career. He's got more than 100 of them. Now we'll see if he can finish it.
Hubner in trouble in the first minute of the match.
Now again, Christensen throws in the legs.
Hubner right now battling for all he's got.
Now Christensen switching off to a cradle. John Schaus watching this. He hasn't called it yet, and he does.
The fall at 123. The quickest pin we've had tonight, Jason Christensen, the senior from Civic Memorial, Bethalto, 45-0, wins the championship at 171 pounds. Took just a minute 23, had the takedown 46 seconds into the bout, and finished him off 30 seconds later as we move now to Class A at 171 pounds. Harvard Sean Robinson, he's to your left. Mike Weber of Belleville-Althoff is in the dark blue, shooting under. And you see their records, and in the first period, Weber a 2-1 lead.
One wrestler from the Belleville area just won Class AA at 171. Another wrestler from Belleville trying to make it a clean sweep for that area in Class A. And Mike Weber's had plenty of experience. Second in the state tournament 2 years ago, third last year. He knows what being here is all about, and he's ahead 4-1.
Picked up those 2 points late in the period and opens up the second period with a 4-1 lead, but gives up a point on the escape, and it's 4-2.
Robinson getting a talking to from the official, Tom Henneth. Robinson, a very physical wrestler. We've seen him hit a couple of throws this tournament. That's something he likes to do. And Weber just goes right behind for the takedown.
Weber a 6-2 lead.
Weber's only had trouble with one wrestler this year, and that's Shane Grommans of Vandalia, a wrestler he saw 4 or 5 times this year. And of course, when you see a wrestler that often the series is going to go back and forth, and Grommans did beat Weber twice this year, but failed to qualify through the Vandalia sectional bid as his very own gym. And that gave Weber a little bit of a less obstructed path here to the finals, and he's taken advantage of it.
And sometimes that's a factor in getting to the finals. Sometimes it gets, depending on the geographics, sometimes these brackets can get top heavy, bottom heavy. Sometimes an upset can open the door for you to make it all the way into the finals.
No doubt about it. We've seen that on a couple of occasions in Class A throughout this tournament. 112 is a great example. 189 is a great example. And here at 171, obviously, Weber knowing that even if he does get to the finals, that Gromans will not be there on the other side waiting for him. Kind of gives you a little bit less pressure getting through that series, knowing that you'll be able to face somebody else in the finals rather than a guy that's been a nemesis for most of the season. Now, Robinson getting a bloody nose there.
His coach Tim Hack looking on. Of course, Harvard, another one of those traditionally strong programs, a team that's a factor individually and as well as in the dual team championships,
which they could again be this year. Tim Hack, a member of the Wrestling Advisory Committee at the present time, and one of the guys around the state with a lot of good ideas about this sport. And boy, his kids are class kids. Weber again in on the leg attack. Trying to switch off to a double. And he gets the takedown. It's made it look pretty easy so far in this match.
4 takedowns now. And an 8-4 lead for Mike Weber.
Control the elbow. Control the elbow. Hands, right there.
The one thing some of you viewers who may be channel surfing along and just picking up this telecast, you may not be all that familiar with amateur wrestling, but this is one-on-one competition in its purest form. It's man against man.
It's the ultimate no excuses sport. You get all the credit when you win. You take all the responsibility when you lose, and that's one of the reasons that wrestling helps build values that you really help you and serve you later in life.
And there's no pile drivers, no suplexes. This is the real stuff here, folks. With a period to go at Class A 171 pounds, Mike Weber a 10-4 lead over Sean Robinson of Harvard. And again, they go and take a look at Sean Robinson. Unlike in dual team, where they are literally 2 different meets going on at the same time, A and AA, here they go each weight class the same time. And if one weight class finishes early, as we have the pin, Jason Christensen, that to fall quickly, a minute 23 into his bout, the 189ers will wait until this bout is over. And this bout, with 1 round to go, 2 minutes.
So these guys are center stage right now as we got a minute left to go. And Weber with the throw.
And Robinson shaken up again. He was thrown right there on the edge of the mat. Of course, they're wrestling on the basketball floor here at the University of Illinois.
And that really does cut down on the number of injuries. They had a basketball game here on a Wednesday or Thursday night about 10 or 12 years ago and decided to just put down the mats on the basketball floor, which is his portable basketball floor at Illinois, and they noticed it did cut down on the number of injuries that year because, and here we see the double underhook throw by Weber that took Robinson almost all the way off the edge of the mat. And it looks like he got the nosebleed started again. You're allowed 5 minutes of blood time in high school. That's a new rule this year. And the cleanup also doesn't count against you, so in some cases it may be more than 5 minutes.
Right now, this particular time, you see the clock, and by the way, one of the nice additions, these new computerized clock setups that automatically figure everything, the injury time, the blood time, and very precisely fill us in as to what the status of the mat is. You see the red number flashing, that represents Sean Robinson, and there you see the operator's board.
These really are wonderful clocks. They're state-of-the-art clocks. It's about 3 or 4 years since the IHSA started using them. One of the best moves that I think they have made in this tournament in the last few years. And I've been fortunate enough to do some promotional work with the Boutronics company that manufactures these clocks. And believe me, if you want to take the arguments out of a match, get one of these clocks and use it. You will, you'll have other things to worry about, but you won't have to worry about the timing of the scoring.
Far cry when I used to have to go and steal them from the physics department all the time to run the meet.
No stopwatches or portable timers to do injury time or anything like that. It keeps it right there for you.
Coming up the next, and we are still taking a look at Sean Robinson of Harvard here. In the final period, early in the final period, a 10-4 lead for Mike Weber of Belleville-Althoff here at 171 pounds. We still have coming up, folks, stay with us, bouts at 189 and then the heavyweights. And among those heavyweights, one of the wrestlers we profiled early, Hubert Thompson, the undefeated defending champion from Hillside Proviso West. And one of the more impressive physical specimens I have seen in this event in the years I've been covering it.
You will be very impressed by the physical stature of Hubert Thompson. Not the most talented, well, let me start over.
Technically, maybe.
Not the most skilled wrestler you will ever see, but it will be interesting to watch and see if his opponent, Jake Verselli of Joliet Catholic, can get any penetration on him and work any kind of an offense. That will be quite a challenge.
They stick another cotton swab right up the nostril. Remember a couple of times taking a hit and seeing those puppies blow right out of there like a couple of pop guns.
Sometimes it is difficult to keep those nose plugs in there.
So now they'll restart this match. 1:55 to go. In the final round, it is 10-4 again in favor of Mike Weber. Weber there trying to get away from Steve Robinson.
Sean Robinson hanging on to the leg.
They're out of the circle with 1:39 to go.
Now Weber right in again on the duck under and spin behind takedown, and he has just dominated this match on his feet. Thought of going for a near side cradle there, switched sides and thought better of it, and he lets Robinson go.
13-5 with 1:21 to go.
Robinson shoots underneath and Weber catches him with the front headlock. Now Robinson trying to spin behind. Nothing yet. Still nothing, says Tom Henneth, the official. And now it is Weber that spins out and gets the takedown. And he has just dominated this match on his feet.
He's up by 10 points with under a minute to go.
7 takedowns in this match for Weber. And now he's got the half Nelson in on the right side.
Is there a point where he could run up enough points and they'd stop the match?
They would, if he had a 15-point advantage, there would be a technical fall, but doesn't look like that's going to happen as Robinson gets the reversal.
15-7 now with 23 seconds to go. This is Class A, 171 pound. We've already crowned the AA champ, Jason Christensen of Bethalto Civic Memorial, a quick first round pin, and this particular bout has been extended by the several injury stoppages. 18 seconds remaining.
Mike, he lets you up. He's got to go upstairs. Stay low.
But they're certainly right there, a center of attention of over 10,000 here at the Assembly Hall tonight.
Now Robinson lets him go. He's going to try and lock up a throw here. It's his last chance. And Weber just takes the leg, and he scores the takedown. Made it look easy.
18-7 with time running out. And Mike Weber of Belleville-Althoff wins at 18-7 and wins the Class A 171-pound state championship. The arm raised victoriously for Mike Weber. And he's the titleist at 171 pounds. We've got 2 weight classes to go, folks. Stay with us. There's lots more coming your way from the Assembly Hall in Champaign, exclusively on Sports Channel. Tom Stalker and Rob Sherrill back with you at the Assembly Hall. This is 189 pounds, Class A. Tom Riggins, defending champion, 35-0. And Joe Gleisner of Ashton, he's also undefeated, 39-0. Gleisner in the black and yellow. Riggins is in the blue.
Riggins, the defending champion. Gleisner, number 2. These are the number 1 against number 2 that we expected to get here.
And Gleisner was 4th at 171 pounds last year.
Worked his way up through the rankings at 189 gradually and hit that number 2 spot in January. Riggins been number 1 all year and had quite a series this year with Jeremy Durbin of Vandalia, who was 3rd in the state last year, and Durbin went out before he had a chance to get as far as the finals, but he and Riggins wrestled, I believe, either 4 or 5 times this year and had some close matches.
No score, 35 seconds remaining in the opening period. This is Double-A now. Brad Lynn in the yellow and purple from Rockton Hononegah. He's got a 5-0 lead, and he's undefeated this year at 41-0. Kevin Venny, a sophomore from Granite City, right now trailing 7-1.
And the top 3 wrestlers in this bracket, all unfortunately way down at the bottom. And Lind came out of that in great shape. And he's had his things his way with Venny.
Venny getting to the finals, taking advantage of a weaker upper bracket. His brother John was a champ at 160 pounds last year.
And this is quite an accomplishment for Venny to get to the finals. He's had a good year for a sophomore. As we say, he is only a sophomore, and I'm sure we'll see him again. But Brad Lind has really stepped up a notch in the last year or so.
9-2 Brad Lind of Hononegah going into the second round.
Lind signed with the University of Missouri during the early signing period in November, and he has just gotten stronger and stronger with every match this year. He beat the wrestler who was rated number 1 all season in the semifinals, John Lovrich of Stagg, who eventually finished 3rd.
Lets him go on the escape, and that's a 3rd point for Venny. He trails 9-3.
Would like to remind all champions would like
this is Double-A, 189 pounds.
Lind is 6'5", but nevertheless he has a really smooth leg attack, and he's shown it here against Venny.
Is height a big advantage in this sport? This traditionally has been the sport for the guys who don't play basketball and other tall men sports.
Usually it's more of an advantage on the mat than on your feet, but Lind has been able to work that both ways to his advantage. And here is a spladle now by Venny, and he's got Lind in trouble. What an amazing turn of events this would be.
Lind with a 9-3 lead, and he is definitely in danger.
1:12 left in the period, and Venny has a lot of time to finish this, if he can finish it. And now looks like Lind is going to be able to get out, and now Venny trying to sit back with it again. And now Lind.
Potentially dangerous situation, and they stop the match. 3 points on the near fall for Venny, making it 6-3. I'm sorry, 9-6 make that.
Should be
9-6.
9-8 with the
51 seconds to go in the second period.
Right, should be 9-8 with the reversal and the 3 for the near fall.
So while they talk it over, let's switch over to the Class A 189-pounders, where they are just about to run out of time. That is the end of the second period, and a 2-0 lead for the defending champion, Tom Riggins. Riggins picking up the first 2 points in this period. Now back to Double-A, where it's 9-8 and a caution.
And that's the second one in this match on Benny. One more would be a point for Lynn, and he has done a great job of getting himself back in this match. He can't afford any more of those calls like that. You don't want to give up free points in a match like this.
Brad Lynn had a huge 9-2 lead after the first period, but that remarkable turnaround by Benny has gotten him right back in. He trails by just a point.
And now Lynn with the reverse,
giving him an 11-8 lead with 25 seconds to go in the second period.
Lynn's been a little sloppy at times in this match and almost got that way again, but he just played it safe, spun behind and got the reversal, and now he's got the half. Nelson thrown in, trying to turn Benny, and he does get a count.
Time running out in the second period as they stop it with 3 seconds left. 3 points on the near fall, and it is 14-8. And let's go over to Class A. Early in the third round, 2-0, Tom Riggins.
And now Riggins with the cradle. He's going to get some more points here. Right off the bat in the third period, Gleisner was still in the match. But this is going to be a huge advantage for Riggins now.
He's got at least a couple of more.
This will be 3 points when the hold is broken. We may not see Riggins break it at all. He may just go ahead and hang on to this, even though there's a minute 15 left in the match.
Does there come a point when the officials intervene here?
They will not break a pinning combination in progress unless there is a potentially dangerous or illegal situation that occurs. If you got the man on his back, you have the opportunity to keep them there and work for the fall if you wish, as long as you wish.
So if Riggins can muster up the strength and hold his position,
now
38 seconds.
He does let him up.
Got 3.
So not only did he have the cradle, but he wasted a lot of time with it, and Gleisner has less than 30 seconds now to try and get back in the match.
And he's down by 4 with 20 seconds to go.
Riggins in again on that single. And now Riggins with the double. The 2 points given by Dan Ferranosi, and that'll ice it.
And the time runs out. A 7-1 victory for Tom Riggins. He successfully defends his championship, finishes off undefeated at 35-0 after a 42-4 campaign last year, and he picks up another state championship medal to take back home to Roxana. Well, let's move over to Double-A, where they've got 50 seconds to go. It is 16-8 in favor of Brad Lynn of Rockton-Hononegah.
And now Lynn with the cradle trying to finish off Venny, but Venny fought out of that. 3 more on the back for Brad Lynn.
Increases the lead to 19-8 with 32 seconds to go. Looked like Venny's one shot was that brief rally in the second period.
Venny had Lynn in a great deal of trouble there, but Lynn got out of it, and it's been all Lynn since. He scored 10 unanswered points.
18 seconds remaining at Double-A, 189 pounds, with just 1 weight class left to go after this.
Hononegah has never had a state champion in their history. Brad Lind is 18 seconds away from becoming the first.
Out of the circle with 11 seconds to go. 19-8. And he has not put a point on the board in this final period. He got within a point at 9-8. 10 seconds remaining.
Up.
And they're out of the circle with just 1 second left. So Lynn just a tick of the clock away from finishing up undefeated at 42-0. They'll get this last second in. And that's it. Brad Lynn of Rockton Hononegah, state champion at 189 pounds. Kevin Venny, who will be back, he's just a sophomore, finishes at 36-8.
And the first state champ in the history of Hononegah. They've put a couple of great years back to back, and now they top it off with a state champion.
And there you see Hubert Thompson of Proviso West getting ready to enter the mat for our final bouts of the night at 275 pounds. Hubert Thompson, 21-0, undefeated. Trying to pick up back-to-back state championship and add on to the 32-1 year he had last year. There at Class A for Muhammad Seymour, John Lockhart. He's undefeated this year at 36-0 as Muhammad Seymour looking for its third state championship. And again, we do not keep individual point totals, but obviously you've got to figure that come dual meet time, Class A, a week from today at Huff Hall, the Bulldogs and Muhammad Seymour, we may be seeing them there.
I don't think there's any question about it. They have the tough bracket, but they have the tough team that can get through that tough bracket.
So the last bout's coming up as Hubert Thompson will take on Jake Verselli from Joliet Catholic, a senior who is also undefeated at 36-0. Now Thompson, an outstanding football prospect, has signed with Michigan State. Still has to get his grades clear, however. In fact, Thompson, didn't he spend a little time ineligible this season for wrestling?
Thompson really has become a phenomenon during his wrestling career. And this is the classic match of an athlete against a wrestler. Verselli being the wrestler, but it'll be interesting to see whether he can penetrate the strength of the athlete.
25 seconds into the heavyweight match. Hubert Thompson and Jake Verselli.
Last year, Hubert Thompson became the first state champion ever from Proviso West.
In wrestling.
And Joliet Catholic has never had a state champion. Thompson trying to become the 6th wrestler ever to become a 2-time state heavyweight champion. Haven't been very many in the history of Illinois.
And a stall warning issued to Verselli. Under a minute now for the opening period.
Thompson stands about 6'6", weighs about 260. He's been labeled a can't-miss football prospect.
Some feel perhaps a can't-miss NFL star of the future.
I've heard that from more than one college recruiter. Obviously would be a great wrestler if that were his desire. But
They go to the mat. 2 points for Thompson.
Thompson with the double underhook and is able to spin behind and get the 2.
At the end of the first round, Thompson getting that takedown very late in the period. A 2-0 lead. As they take some injury time, let's go over to Class A, where it's John Lockhart, the senior from Muhammad Seymour. 36-0. Ryan Lemberg from Yorkville. He's down there on all fours right now. Lockhart will open up this second period with a 2-1 lead and with control.
Both these guys are wrestling heavyweight, may look kind of big, and now here's Lockhart with the tilt. And John Schaus says no points. Couldn't get a 2 count. But both these guys were at the 189-pound class last year, so they moved up.
Let's go back over to Double-A. 15 seconds into the second round. Still 2-0. Hubert Thompson to Proviso West. He picks up an escape point, now leads 3-0.
Verselli able to ride Thompson for about 15 seconds. And Thompson just able to stand up and very easily get that escape. Verselli, another wrestler who came up from the 189-pound class last year. He's had a great year at heavyweight. Rated number 3 most of the year and came through his bracket in dominating fashion with 2 pins and a 5-1 decision. But scoring against Hubert Thompson is another matter entirely.
As strong as he is, I got to imagine the strength it would take to get the upper hand on him.
Thompson has only been taken down once in the past 2 years, and obviously a very difficult task for anybody, even somebody undefeated like Jake Verselli, who's been through the wars a little bit.
.30 seconds to go in the second period. Thompson with the only point of this period, a 3-0 lead as they wind up out of the circle, and they'll both restart standing up.
Well, so far locking up with Hubert Thompson hasn't worked. Shooting underneath on Hubert Thompson hasn't worked. Jake Verselli is just going to have to try something else. He's going to have to try and get an ankle of some kind. And there was one right there.
There's a point for Verselli, his first point.
Stalling against Thompson, says Bill Marquardt, the official. And that's the first point that Thompson has given up in this tournament.
And that's the end of the second period. It is 3-1. Over at Class A, they have just started the final period. It is 4-3 in favor of John Lockhart of Muhammad Seymour, as Rob Porter tries to pick up a 3rd individual state champion this year out of 4 finalists.
Lockhart, a great addition as he's given the escape.
Five to 3 with 1.5 minutes to go. This is Class A, and they wind up out of the circle. And let's go back to Double-A, where Verselli picked up a point and now trails 3-2, 30 seconds into the final round.
Verselli had the single, tried to switch off to the double. Thompson works out of it. Verselli trying to go back to the double again. Now Thompson can high leg over and spin behind. That's what he's trying to do, and he gets the takedown.
And it makes it 5-2.
Good effort by Verselli to try and generate some offense, but it's so difficult to shoot straight underneath against a guy that's bigger than you. And especially a guy like Thompson that's not only bigger, but an awful lot stronger.
53 seconds remaining as Hubert Thompson goes for his 2nd consecutive state championship.
Crucial takedown there by Thompson. Verselli was in pretty deep on the legs, first with the single, then with the double. but Thompson was able to break it back down to a single and then spin behind and get the takedown, which may have just iced it.
40 seconds remaining. Now 30 seconds. 5-2 Hubert Thompson to Proviso West.
And now a stall warning against Thompson. Another point for Vercelli.
And certainly, if you've been following wrestling the past few years, seeing a Proviso West wrestler instead of the ubiquitous Proviso East wrestlers in the finals. Bill Cartwright, that great program. And that's it. Hubert Thompson wins the state championship at 189 pounds, 5-3. And we'll put his photo up there along with state championships for Proviso West in baseball and a track championship that I was on back, I think, in 1868 or was it 1968, one of the two. And let's go over to Class A very quickly. The last seconds running out. And it's another state championship for Muhammad Seymour. John Lockhart wins 5-3 over Ryan Lemberg of Yorkville. 3 state champions individually for the Bulldogs in Class A.
Great addition to the Muhammad Seymour lineup this year. John Lockhart, 3 years in the state tournament and second at 189 for Hoopston area. Transferred to Muhammad Seymour this year. Not only solidified the top of their lineup, but he's the heavyweight state champion.
We'll be back to wrap things up from the Assembly Hall in Champaign after this on Sports Channel. Our Pepsi play of the tournament, David Douglas of Thornridge, becoming just the 6th wrestler ever in IHSA history to win 4 individual state championships, and our congratulations. That brings to a close the 60th edition of the IHSA Wrestling Championships. Special thanks to many great people. IHSA Executive Director Dave Fry, Associate Director Don Robinson, Assistant Directors Jim Flynn, Marty Hickman, Sue Henriksen, Mary Struckhoff, and Tournament Manager Tom Flanagan. Coverage of the 1997 Boys Individual Wrestling Championships have been produced and directed by Maurice Wallace. Our graphic coordinator, Bruce Mitchell. Remote facilities were provided by Trio Video. Coordinating producer, Dave Turner. Production manager, Sheila Brown. For Rob Sherrill, I'm Tom Stalker. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel and Intersport Television.